So, for example, right, I think a good example of this is, and again, I'm not accusing anyone of lying, but if we go back to the whole Donovan thing that I was talking to Anthony about, it's like, well, let's suppose that Donovan was lying about the thing. Again, I'm not taking sides on this, but I'm saying let's suppose that he is he, if his business is his audience's faith in him, it's very costly for him to come out and say that he was lying, even if he would like to do it, right? So that's a factor. So again, there's the right thing, right? If he's lying, is it the right thing for him to come out and say that he's lying? Of course it is. But I have a little bit of empathy to say that I can understand why he wouldn't if he was lying, because it would cost financially and he's running a business. And so me as a man would say, okay, well, let's allow this person to save face. Let's just move forward, right? And that's why I think it's so important that we don't try and get to the bottom of all of these things, because a bunch of people will probably be caught in lies and behaviors that would hurt them financially, right? If we try to, and we see what happens when people try to expose that, right? I mean, there's certain characters that we were talking about the other day who are just hell-bent on just destroying people and nothing else. They're not even trying to help guys. They're just trying to destroy people, and they start doxing people and all this stuff, and then it becomes a real bloody mess, and that's no good. So I think it is important to consider the financial impact on that, and that's why we have to be smart enough to be guys to say, okay, well, let's let some people save face, because it'll cost them a lot of money, and their other audience, or they're afraid. So let's let them save face and let's move forward. That's why I keep on emphasizing that position. I don't want to look at people's past sins and things like that, because you're never going to get, I mean, it's hard enough to get a man to admit when he's wrong. It's 10 times as hard to get a man to admit he's wrong when it's going to cost him money. So you know what I'm saying? Yeah. So that's why I think pursuing that avenue doesn't make any sense, but that's my piece on it.
Okay. Anthony?
I'm largely in the opposite camp of John on this issue. For example, like I have no interest in uniting with frauds. So people have committed real fraud in the community. People have done real harm. People have done real doxing, like Rollo Tomasi. I have no empathy for them. I don't care. And another thing too, by the way, so John, I think, is being serious and sincere on him not needing the money for his work with Bulldog Mindset. Rollo Tomasi rides on the coattails of that position by saying 1,000 times a year, 1,000 times a day, I'm not in it for the money. I'm not in it for the money. I'm not in it for the money. I challenge Rollo Tomasi to release his tax returns from any year, 17, 18, 19, 20, whatever. I'll release mine. Most of his money by far comes from the rational mail. It's been that way since about 2015, 2016. He lies consistently to his audience on his blog and on his YouTube channels and stuff about this issue. He says it to get the moral high ground. John is saying it, and it's legitimate, and it does give him kind of a bump in that regard for credibility. Rollo does it to leech. Rollo does it to lie and does it to manipulate. It's fraud. It's absolute fraud, and he does it knowingly and willingly. Because most of culture is based on altruistic morality. So doing things not for the money, not for your self-interest. Rollo plays on that. 48 Laws of Power shit, a book he's obsessed with. This is one of the primary ways that Rollo manipulates his audience, and his guys have no idea. A lot of them are codependent. They belong in therapy, and not coaching calls, not the manosphere. They really belong in therapy, like talk therapy, seriously. He preys on these codependent dudes that get busted up by BPD women, and they're all fucked up, and he saves them into a new fucking hellscape of his own Rollo pill making. And one of the ways he does it is by telling them, I'm not in it for the money. I'm not in it for the money. I'm better than those guys who are in it for the money. But meanwhile, like 80% of his income is fucking rational mail. As far as the rest of it, I'm not exactly in the same camp as John on this stuff. I don't know, because what was the original question exactly? I don't want to go too far off tangent with it, Tony.
What it is that the content being watered down, basically in search of revenue. In other words,
I have no tolerance for watering it down, zero. Like if Donovan should own up to his mistakes and lose a lot of money for it. For example, Donovan Shart got secretly married to his girlfriend back in 2019. Oh. A lot of people don't like that, don't want to hear that, but that's what happened. He even had a 1-year anniversary in Florida back last year in 2020. But people don't know about this. But then Donovan goes anti-marriage on his channel all day long, right? If his audience knew that, he'd lose a lot of money. So he lies about it consistently, over and over and over again, just like Rollo. These are the ways these guys get defrauded in ways they don't realize. You have a guy go on YouTube, bitch about marriage, bitch about this and that, and then what does he do? He gets private married behind the scenes. He has a wedding and a honeymoon to Hawaii or some shit. That's why he didn't speak at Poland 21 convention, but he spoke later in the year in Orlando. This is one of the ways Donovan lies to his own audience to make more money. It's what Rollo does all the time too. I have zero tolerance for it.
But Anthony, let me interrupt real quick. I'm going to put a link in the chat. So if there's somebody that is worthy of coming on, and worthy, I would say, if Donovan happens to be watching this,
go ahead.
He is welcome to come on. But I'm going to put this link in the chat. If there's anybody else that I see is worthy.